I will probably start off every review about a game involving mechs the same way, but what can I say? Mechs are objectively just the dopest thing ever, no matter their size or form. Like Sakura Wars, cute but cool. 30 Sentinels, pretty freaking cool. Pacific Rim, hell fuck yes! 40k Titans,
nice.
Gundam, Zone of the Enders. Yeah, barely anyone seems to know or remember Zone of the Enders. How come nobody remembers the actual masterpiece made by Kojima? He made mech gameplay feel great, interesting story, killer soundtrack, and he gave a whole new meaning to the word cockpit. Oh, okay. So the point is, mechs are pretty cool. You can slap them on anything and see it become cooler instantly. And it's very hard to mess it up. And according to history, it never has been messed up before. So when they announced that the Nintendo Switch would get a mech game, I was very excited. I played the demo when it came out, loved it, and couldn't wait for release. And then it released, and I kinda forgot about it. Not just the game, but my Switch in general. Then it got a PC port, which didn't catch my attention either. Heck, even when Epic gave it away for free, I still didn't jump on it. Until now. Because right now I am making my way through my Switch backlogged games and trying to improve my overall collection. Which still is a bit weak, but leave it to Daemon X Machina to change that. Because again, just throw a mech at it and it instantly becomes a lot cooler. Or does it? Well, let's find out what Daemon X Machina has in store for us. In Daemon X Machina, a piece of the moon fell on the Earth, turning it into an apocalyptic wasteland. This particular piece emitted a certain energy that caused an AI to turn against humanity, and as you would expect, mankind create mechs to combat this. Via an organization called Orbital, mercenaries get to control these mechs called arsenals and are hired by various companies to do whatever needs to be done. Be that to fight the war against the rogue AI, scout location, protect company assets, or occasionally steal assets from other companies. In all of this, you play as the Rookie, a new Arsenal pilot who recently joined Orbital and the mercenary lifestyle. Together with other mercenaries, you fight on the battlefield with your mechs and make money off of it, but also to uncover why this AI went rogue, how the moon got destroyed, and hopefully end this war once and for all. The initial start of the story was a blast. It's not only a very interesting setting and it has mechs, but there was a nice feeling of age surrounding it all. As if this war has been going on for a very long time and you are going to be a piece of that war. And creating your piece you can in a very decent character creator, and you can reflect your character creation onto your mech as well in similar detail. And I would encourage you to do so because, you know, you're a mercenary, you gotta design your own gimmicky character, just like all the other characters you find in this game. All mercenaries you meet have their own quirky and gimmicky character, and while they can be a little bit over the top in that, it does set them all apart from one another. From them, you also get the sense that they are in this fight for a long time and that their lifestyle affected them in one way or another. But as they are mercenaries, they also have their own ideals and beliefs for why they fight. Simply put, we are not here to be heroes, we are here to be professionals and fight for our own beliefs and ideals, which is again a very cool idea. Same goes for the mission and the companies that give you them. Each has their own goals, but some of them are not there to really help mankind further in the struggle against rogue AI, or to survive the devastation of Earth. Again, everybody has their own ideals and goals they fight for, and it creates that grey area that I really love of mercenaries. However, after the initial good start of the story and the great setup of the setting, the game forgets to do anything with it. As you complete missions, nothing seems to move forward or get developed, be that characters or the overall plot. And when the plot started to finally do something, it was near the end of the game, making it impossible to properly develop a story, characters, and overall bring that together. And even the setting, with all its potential, felt very shallow at the end of the game, as there was no codex to fall back on when it comes to the terms the game uses, or read up on history of the world. You just have to guess a lot of things or make up your own headcanon to have fun with it. The lack of a codex is really counterproductive, as the story loves to throw names and terms at you, but does not discuss them, or when it does, it's hours later when they were dropped. For example, it took more than half of its campaign to get to a point where the state of the world was explained beyond the opening scene, where the moon fell on the earth and that an AI went rogue. The characters themselves also suffer a similar issue like this. It was less noticeable as their stereotype did the trick just enough, but situations were common where characters said or did things that felt completely out of the blue, as there was no build-up or development for it. And this lack of build-up across the board in Daemon X Machina was an absolute miss. I really wanted to connect to this world via my character, and wanted to connect and, more importantly, explore ideals of certain mercenaries or join the groups they form. I wanted to see the story unfold in ways where my character played a role in affecting the world this game takes place in, yet I was just unable to do so. And what makes it even worse is that there was a lot of room to make this possible. Like, all these mercenaries have their own group or clan, each with a theme. I would have loved to get to know them better, or yet join one of them, or make my own and slowly build up a team of mercenaries and reputation. But we can even keep it more simpler than that when it comes to the potential that was there. I wish there was just a place in the hangar where you could gather, interact or hang out with the other mercenaries. It would have been the perfect place to get to know them better, even giving us opportunity to get to know the world better, as it's referenced a couple of times that many of these mercenaries come from different places on Earth. Maybe even throw a typical scoreboard thing there, where it keeps track of each other's achievements. On that aspect, Daemon X Machina fell immensely short, and every single time we got a rare interaction with a mercenary that wished to explore more, to have been handed more tools to do so, grew and grew. But especially for the apocalyptic setting, that wish grew. It would have been a blast to explore and interact with the ruins of Earth and see how humanity bounced back from it in more detail. But instead, the exploration and the story stays at square one for most of the time, and once it starts moving, it doesn't really matter anymore. Thankfully, one thing does matter in this game, and that is the gameplay. My goodness, this gameplay is crisp. Controlling and fighting with these mechs is fast, smooth and just a lot of fun. Even though at first glance it could look a little bit overwhelming and just like a storm of colors and explosions. But in actuality it's very basic, as a lot in combat is done automatically. Your role in combat centers more around moving and positioning yourself correctly in battle, keeping your target in locking range and time your attacks or dodge appropriately. How you will do this in the most effective or fun way is completely up to you, as Daemon X Machina offers a very extensive, diverse loadout system. Be it targeting range, speed, weapon fire rate, HP, everything can be tuned to what suits your playstyle the best. It's unfortunate the game does handhold you for too long in what kind of weapons you can unlock and what you can do with your mech itself. But even in that time, the combat was still very enjoyable. But once it lets go of you, the game goes all in. I happen to go a lot of different directions with my build at that point. From explosive and area of effect weapons to more precise and long-range weaponry. And switching between all these builds was just great, as not only does it spice up the gameplay a lot, but every weapon you pick is just a lot of fun to use. After some time getting used to it, of course. At the start, I did fear I would be forced changing weapons constantly, not because I want to, but because of stats, as this game's gameplay is heavily leaning on numbers. But thankfully, that didn't happen. The weapons are fun to use, but the game never gets you in the position where you are forced to swap weapons based on stats, thanks to its upgrade system. Between missions, you can develop new and better weapons based on versions you already own. You simply just pay some money, play a mission, and then it's done developing, and you are good to go with a new, stronger weapon. It's very simple, but even just optional, as you can easily pick up new armor and better weapons from defeating other mechs as well. And that is what it's all about in the end. Customizing your mech to suit your playstyle the best. And that is what made it so much fun. And the moment you are slightly bored with your build is the perfect moment to try out something new. And it's great that there are a lot of options, but it's more important that changing your build does not compromise your fun. Just like the combat itself, the gameplay loop's strength comes from being very simple. At the start of each mission, you are given an objective and you have to complete it. Pretty straightforward. Usually it involves blasting drones, vehicles, buildings, and other mechs. Once the mission is completed, you return back to the hangar with loot and money to improve your own mech and to plan and set out again for the next mission. This arcade design of the missions heavily favor this game's gameplay. It are constant short bursts of mech combat, and you cool down in the short moments in between, where you prep for the next short burst. However, as you reach the end of the game, these cooldown moments in the hangar starts to slow down, as you will reach a point where you rarely get better equipment, or where it's needed to further customize your mech, or develop new weaponry. It pulls the brakes on your experience quite a bit, and I would even argue that endgame feels a bit dead, because progression and thereby improving and experimenting with new weapons is connected heavily to the story. Once the story ends, so does your progression curve and eventually the gameplay itself. Another annoyance is that some of these missions have objectives that gets in the way of your fun. There will be moments where you're going up against other mercenaries, but instead of focusing on that fight, you have to ignore them and focus on defending a train or a building. What is worse is that the AI allows you to do just that, ignore them. They focus on the NPC companion you are given in that mission and fight them in the distance while you just sit on the objective. Weirdly enough, one of my favorite missions actually had nothing to do with fighting other mechs. Instead, we had to protect buildings from moon debris falling from space. Now, that does not sound very exciting or thrilling, but having to fight the environment was a great yet rare moment where we got a sense of the world and where it felt like our input made a difference in the world. Because most missions feel like they are randomly generated, as you just destroy targets and leave, or scout out point and then destroy anything you find there, or something along those lines. Another aspect in the gameplay that got not nearly enough explored is the missions you play outside of your mech. In rare cases you have to infiltrate bases or make your way through an area without a mech, which was quite a cool concept, and the upgrade system of your character has an equally cool idea, where augmentations change the physical look of your character drastically. But in reality, these gameplay sections weren't cool stealth moments or a way to spice up the gameplay in a very unique way. Instead, it was just the mech gameplay, but nerfed, and you were a lot smaller. Definitely wish they spent more time on this gameplay aspect, as again, the upgrade system itself was very cool. Now, what was very cool, but also very expected, were large-scale boss battles, and they are the cherry on top of it all. They are the large-scale encounters with different phases and requires of you a good combination of control, ammo management, and endurance to complete. And while they also suffer from the same problem that beating them doesn't feel like it does anything in the story or the world, they were good enough on their own and worth going back to time and time again to enjoy them. Though playing or replaying any mission was almost worth it by default, as this game's soundtrack is freaking amazing. It throws banger after banger at you while you blast your way through AI, robots, and mechs. Overall, Daemon X Machina is a great mech game with a lot of wasted potential. Be that the story itself, the characters, and the setting. What truly carries this game is its gameplay. Its mech gameplay felt so right at every level. You get to design your own mech in fine detail, and I mean, the mech skate on the ground, that's how you do it. But in all seriousness, the gameplay and its loop are this game's greatest asset. It's fun, fast, progression is done in a simple but noticeable manner. The only unfortunate thing is that this great gameplay loses its momentum as you progress through the game. I managed to get through it in roughly 20 hours, which is a fine time for me. Personally, I'd rather end on a high note than a game becoming a drag. However, a little bit more would have been so great if it was just a little bit more. In the end, I of course highly recommend this game to people that seek fun, good mech gameplay and are willing to look past the disappointing story and the usage of its setting. Because again, while the game does mechs great, it unfortunately dropped the ball on everything else.